Well, we're live on YouTube. Let me get this record going. Hello and welcome to this training webinar. I'm Chris from Lifter LMS, and I'm joined by my good buddy John Doherty from Credo. That's at getcredo.com. Welcome to the webinar, John.
Chris, thanks for having me, man. It's always a pleasure to connect with you, see you virtually, see you in person. Yeah, I'm jazzed about this. I'm super stoked to bring some fire to your audience.
Yeah, I'm excited too. We're going to be talking about marketing in challenging times, crisis times. It's a touchy subject because sometimes I know I felt this way when the world changed, and the mindset of the public changed, and we're businesses. We got to keep selling. We got to keep marketing. People are, in different circumstances, and we need to keep selling. And what people see in us and our products, it's all kind of in flux, but it's not a reason to give up. And that's one of the reasons I wanted to get you on here so that we could get into that and help the people, help the course creators, the people building training-based membership sites with marketing. We also have people in this audience who build websites for the expert industry, agencies, freelancers, WordPress focused agencies, development focused agencies, marketing focusing agencies. There's something in here. There's going to be stuff in here for all of you. Just want to do another roll call and say hello to Brett, Cody, Greg, James, Jerome, Joanne, John, Keegan, Keith, Kurt, Lassie, Marcelino. We got Melissa in the house, Michael, Noah, Paul, Phil, Roy, and Jan. Post in the chat, what is your biggest marketing challenge or question right now for your online course or your training-based membership site? Or if you are an agency or freelancer, let us know in the chat what your biggest challenge is. We are recording this, so there is going to be a replay. We're going to send that out hopefully later today, tomorrow at the latest. So if you can't stay for the whole thing, or you're watching this on YouTube and you want to watch it again, we will be sending that out. So we'll put a link below. If you're on YouTube, smash that like button. Let us know what you like most, and let us know if you want us to send you the replay over on YouTube. I'd also like to encourage you to stay to the end. We are going to be doing a $99 giveaway of a Lifter LMS add-on, or you can apply that discount to something more expensive. If you win, we select a random winner at the end of the webinar. So stay to the end. And also, we're going to be doing a lot of Q&A here. So whatever questions you have, this is designed to be interactive. We're actually super lucky and fortunate to get John here and to do this complimentary training with you. So ask questions, use the chat, use the Q&A box. And John, just so I know for you, do you prefer to take questions as we go at certain speed bumps in the presentation, or save it all for the end? And I can MC it for you. What do you prefer?
So if it's like a in the moment clarification, I'm happy to do that. Just say like, hey, John, there's a clarification needed. Otherwise, I mean, there's some great questions coming in here in the chat. This is awesome engagement. All of you, love to see it. Yeah, it's a lot of the same question. And I'll actually make sure, to cover this as well, because it's a question that I've been being asked a lot about. How do I take advantage of a situation without being spammy, right? And so I'll definitely talk about that as well, because I've had, gosh, I probably had 50 agencies ask me about that in the last 2 to 3 weeks. So yeah, in the moment, Chris, if it's clarifications, let's answer them. Interrupt me. Otherwise, let's save them for the end. And yeah, I probably have about 45 minutes to maybe an hour of content, and then we can just go on Q&A until we're done. I'm totally good with that.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. And I know, just to piggyback on what you're saying, when this all first started, I'm in multiple mastermind groups. Masterminding is one of the keys to my success. I was hanging out with one of my mastermind groups, and I was like, you know what my biggest challenge is today for my hot seat is I don't want to come off like an ambulance chasing marketer. But so that, I mean, I'm sure you as a marketing expert, you're getting this question that you said 50 times. Like, it's a big thing for anybody who's in business right now. and is, they need to keep doing it, but the world's a little different. So I'm stoked we're
Well, and
going to get
also,
into.
and also when, yeah, you are in business and you do need to keep the lights on, right? Like we're all trying to employ people. I'm trying to hire more people. I'm trying to help more people, that have been laid off get, have work. So that's that's a good thing. And that's an altruistic thing. But also, yeah, we don't want to come across as spamming. We don't want to push too hard, but we also need to realize that if you have valuable skills that people are still looking for, they need your skills. If you're the best, you owe it to them to sell to them in a good way, in a good empathetic way. So we'll talk about that as well.
Awesome. Well, I'm super excited to get into it. John Doherty, he's the founder of Credo. That's getcredo.com. I'll hand it over to you, John. Take us into the world of digital marketing in crisis times.
All righty. Well, let's do it. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. So hopefully all of you can all of you see this? And Chris, I seem to have lost the chat. So here we go.
I
Let me see
got
if I
it.
can
You're
find the
getting
chat. All right, cool.
confirmation. Keegan's in the house.
Awesome.
Glad you're here,
Awesome.
Keegan.
Keegan, what's up? All right. So so as Chris said, my name is John Doherty. I am the founder and CEO at a company called Credo, getcredo.com, where we help companies find and hire digital marketing firms. So my background, I've been in, well, first of all, I'm John. Hello, everybody. Super glad to be here. Based in Denver, Colorado, entrepreneur, outdoors person, marketer, dad, husband, all of that stuff. Those are all pieces of my identity. I love digital marketing and I love growing companies. And actually, I'm in the middle of building an online course, basically, for my existing customers. So this is near and dear to my heart. My business partner and CTO is actually the owner of a membership development agency, building a platform for people to build their membership sites on top of. So I've seen a lot of this. I've bought a bunch of online courses, that sort of thing. And so, I've really been thinking over the last, I saw this thing coming about 6 weeks ago. And then I've been from home for the last 3.5 weeks ago, I told my team, I'm like, not coming to the office anymore, staying from home. This thing's going to go sideways. And actually until 2 days ago, I hadn't been in a public place in like 16 days. And then I went to Walgreens and I went to the grocery store. And that was just like a very kind of emotional time and stressful time. And I was like, wow, I kind of see, like, it helped me empathize a lot more about what people are going through. And then just in my own business, trying to think, okay, how can we best serve people? And how can we best help people, accomplish what they're looking to accomplish, while also remaining super empathetic towards them and realizing that, like, I've been working from home for 4.5 years. Chris, how long has it been for you?
I've been working from home since 2010.
Okay, so 2010. So Chris has been working from home for 10 years. So he's the veteran. I think you worked from an RV for a little while, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, there was a RV.
Yeah, period of time there. So, and I've worked from since I went out on my own 4.5 years ago, I've worked from, I think it's 8 different countries and like 20 some different states. So, I've been working from home, but also traveling and all of that, but things have changed, right? Like I can't just fly to Switzerland where I used to live and go work from there for 2 weeks, right? Like I'm at my house, I'm dealing with, my mother-in-law, watching my daughter during the day, my wife working from home and all that. So like things have changed. So we need to take that into account. So I've really been thinking, like, how do we leverage, or how do we use digital marketing to grow online courses, to grow online companies that are coming online during crisis times? And so, as I said, so let's go ahead and get into it. Chris, let me know if questions come up. But so as I said, we're Credo. We help companies generate traffic, leads, customers, and revenue by connecting them with the best pre-vetted digital marketing firms and consultants from our own proprietary network of talent. So agencies and consultants that we have vetted out, that we know are good, that we're constantly vetting as they're working with people through our platform. So I started the company 7 years ago, but working on it full time for 4.5, seeing over 4,000 companies that between all of them with their annual marketing budgets, seen over 125 million in digital marketing budget come through our systems. Not all that is closed, but they've submitted inquiries. So I've seen a lot. And then personally, just so you know, my background, I worked at I started off my digital marketing life helping to run an online book publishing company from Switzerland, from a tiny village in Switzerland where I lived for a couple of years. I have the mountains tattooed on my arm. and started learning it there, and then moved to Philadelphia, worked for an agency, moved to New York, worked for an agency, went in-house with Zillow and ran digital marketing and growth on 2 of their rentals properties. And then I've been out on my own for the last 4.5 years, building Credo, and then also doing a bunch of SEO consulting with companies that you've heard of, for sure. So that's me, and that's what we do. And so today what I want to do is I want to bring you, I want to talk about 3 different levels of growing your online course through strategic digital marketing. I'm also going to talk a bit about pricing and sales at the end in the conversion side. So we're going to talk through three main areas. Top of the funnel, how do you drive traffic to your courses? Or how do you, if you're an agency, how do you help your customers to drive traffic to their courses that you're building for them? Lead acquisition, how do you turn this traffic into leads? What is a lead, first off? And then what does that conversion funnel look like? And then conversion, how do you turn these leads into paying customers? So my promise to you, obviously we help companies find and hire digital marketing firms. But my promise to you is I'm just going to give you all the information that I know. This isn't a sales pitch. So, I'm here to serve. I'm here to help you. My email is john@getcreator.com. So if you have questions, feel free to hit me up. But I'm an open book. I love to teach. I come from a family of educators. I love to teach. I love to serve. And then this is where you will be able to get the deck. I actually don't have that up live yet, but it will be there. And so give me about an hour after this is done, and you'll be able to go there and download it. Getcreator.com/offer/market your course. All right. So when we built, so a lot of people get into the online course game. People get into building online courses for many different reasons. Chris, I'm sure you've heard the gamut of them. You probably know them all. But we get into building online courses because we have knowledge to share and knowledge that people need. And so we want to help them, right? We want to help them, improve their skill set. We want to help them. I mean, there are so many out there. I follow a lot of people like Ramit Sethi and, people like that, that are, they're a course of business, right? They're always launching new courses. They got new memberships, that sort of thing. And I kind of, I don't really delineate, maybe I should, but I don't really delineate between a course. So like a self-guided, course, I kind of go through it. Here's your curriculum, one-time thing, or a mastermind. I actually love it when they're kind of combined. So a mastermind, more like just a straight like membership, not really a course. At the end of the day, the person that's hosting this, person that's putting together the content, like you are trying to help people, right? You're trying to build a business, but at the end of the day, you build a business by helping people. And so let's just make sure to set that from the start. And so in order to help people, though, we have to get them to our course, right? And I recognize that a lot of you probably are not marketers, maybe you are, maybe you know one channel. I started off just doing SEO and I went really deep on that. And then now I can kind of do a lot of them. But I also, look at experts and talk to experts and meet experts to help me out in the areas where I am not the best. So some of this comes from my own personal experience. Some of this comes from things that I've learned from people. And really that is the way, to ultimately to drive traffic and audience. Find out what people want, build what they want, and then, figuring out how to get them there. And if you have those skills, great. And if you don't, then learning from the experts. So from my perspective, there are 3 main ways to drive audience to your course, to drive audience and traffic, let's say. So the right one to invest in, though, this really depends on you or your team's strength. So people often ask me, I like to notice trends. And so one of the trends I've noticed is over the last 3 to 6 months, everything online is the best, right? It's the best thing ever. It's the best course. It's the best channel. It's whatever. And I'm like, there is no best. There are good channels and there are better channels depending on, who you are. People often ask me who's the best digital marketing agency? Who's the best SEO agency? And I'm like, well, for who, right? For what budget? In what kind of site? What kind of team is at the company? There are so many different questions, right? And when you're an expert in something, it becomes very easy to go down, this and then to see that there is no best. And so the best, what's the best channel for you to grow your audience? It's the one that right? And that that your audience is there. So the 3 main ones I'm going to talk through today are referrals and partnerships, content and organic / SEO, and then paid acquisition as well. So those are the three that we're going to talk through: referrals and partnerships, content, organic / SEO, and paid acquisition. And referrals and partnerships, a lot of this is going to be social media. But before I get out, before we talk through all of that, I want to talk through just kind of some basics, if I can call it that. But it's really a warning at the start that if you're building an online course, you need to own your platform. So there are a lot of platforms out there that can be very useful for growing an audience, right? So, I mean, just think about social media. Even Google. Google's a platform through which you drive traffic, right? Organic, paid, etc. But one thing that we have to remember is that their rules can change at any one time. So I'm not saying that you shouldn't necessarily, so thinking about like paid acquisition, for example, right? Facebook is a big driver of traffic for a lot of people. Facebook also owns Instagram, as you know, and WhatsApp, and a lot of the different platforms that we use online for advertising. But and they have things like they have lead generation campaigns, so you can actually have a form on Facebook where basically a person can fill out that form and basically you capture them as a lead. But what happens if that goes away or that gets markedly more expensive, right? If you haven't been building out forms on your own site that people can convert into and storing their email addresses in your own ESP or CRM, email service provider or CRM, you're going to be in trouble, right? Because Facebook owns that data, not you. So I want you to remember that rules on these online platforms can change at any time. And often new platforms, TikTok, right? That kind of thing, Snapchat at the start, even Facebook pages, right? Facebook groups, they have crazy reach. But this is because these new platforms are incentivizing you with that reach to come to their platform, use their platform, build an audience. And then once they have reached that, then they roll out advertising and they tighten down the screws. And you're like, okay, now where do I go? Right? Oh, here's this new one, right? And it's kind of whack-a-mole, and you're constantly moving between the different ones. So I think that's just something that we need to keep in mind. I'm all about free organic reach. I love that. I have Facebook groups that I administrate and all of that, but don't build your house on someone else's land, right? And I think this is an interesting thing to remember. I don't know how much y'all know about franchise businesses, but there's a movie, I forget what's the title of it, but it's basically the story of McDonald's. And McDonald's basically was failing. It was just like one store, a couple brothers, and then it's a whole store. I actually watched this on a flight a couple years ago. I think I was going to Alaska, where my wife is from, to visit family, and I watched it. It's called Founders, something like that. But basically, McDonald's took off once they started franchising their business, so people could buy like a McDonald's, location, but the person that buys that franchise doesn't own the building and they don't own the land. So McDonald's is actually one of the largest landowners in America, or in the world, actually. So most of their value is wrapped up in the land that they own and the locations that they own. And so if you kind of take that online, right, it's the Facebooks, it's all those of the world. And I love these platforms. I really do. They're phenomenal. They've opened up the world, and these times make us feel less isolated and all of that. But it's just important to recognize kind of where that where those incentives lie. So what I'm saying is build your content on your own domain wherever possible, right? I love the Lifter LMSs of the world that you can, you can do that. It's cheaper, more customizable, gives you marketing opportunities that other things don't, right? If you're just building on, if you're building on someone else's system. So I'm not saying build custom, but what I'm saying is, own your content whenever you can. Email addresses, videos, like that sort of stuff. Use other platforms to drive people there, and then own your own list to keep them engaged. So if you're using something, like Lifter LMS, I'm assuming, obviously you buy the plugin, and you put it in, it's basically like you own that now, right? And then obviously you have your license fees and add-on fees and, and that sort of stuff. But basically you have bought a license, right? You bought a franchise. And that's great. But if you're using something like a Kajabi or something like that, if you don't have the technical know-how to configure it, I'm sure Chris can connect you up with people that can help you configure Lifter LMS, within WordPress, or connect you up with people that can help you build on top of it. But if you're still using like a Kajabi or something like that, just make sure that you own those email addresses. So having your own payment portals and that sort of such. So not everything is just locked up there in Kajabi, where if you decided to leave, then maybe you couldn't get that data. I don't know if that's the case, but you always run those risks. So own your own platform and own your own data. So I'm going to talk today about, so I have this idea of the traffic and lead gen ladder. So in my day to day, I'm talking a lot with agencies and that sort of thing, but this applies to businesses as well, to online courses as well. So people always ask me like, how do I get traffic, right? How do I get traffic? How do I get leads? How do I get customers? How do I get clients? And obviously those are huge questions and each one has their own solution. And there's not just one solution. There's a lot of different ways that you can do it. I kind of go through that like, well, for who, for what, to what end, what price, like that kind of thing. But this is how I think about traffic generation and lead generation. And so it starts like any ladder, starts from the bottom, goes to the top. And so I always tell people, let's think about referral first. And getting other people to refer clients to you, refer prospects to you, that sort of thing. Then go to your owned properties, right? So SEO, content, those sorts of platforms. Then you go to paid, layering on top paid, Facebook, Google Ads, retargeting on Facebook display, that sort of stuff. A lot of things to test there. And then there can be, other accelerants depending on your niche. So like I look at my company Credo as an accelerant for agencies. We're not a great solution for agencies that are just starting, that are trying to get their first clients, because I don't know if they can close, right? Like I can get them matches. That's not a question. I can get them leads, but are they going to be able to close, right? Because closing referrals is different from closing people that come through your own properties, or your own website, is different from closing people coming through paid, is different from closing people that come through an accelerant. So these are different strategies, and we kind of need to step up the ladder there, because referrals are kind of like shooting a fish in a barrel. So let's talk first about referrals and partnerships. So referrals and partnerships obviously require relationships, but these can be great drivers of early growth. And if you already have an audience in your space, then this becomes even easier. So Chris and I are in a mastermind group together, kind of a group coaching program, we can call it, Chris. So in there are a lot of people that are running software businesses for brick and mortar companies. Gyms, it seems to be a huge one. There's so many like gym SaaS companies in there. I'm actually doing a podcast for one later today. And so these entrepreneurs are serving these gym owners who now haven't been open in 3 to 4 weeks, right? But now they're going online, right? So for them to pivot online, they own their customers' data. Hopefully they have email addresses and that sort of thing. Have good people on their team that can help them with the digital acquisition. But they already have a bit of an audience, right? They have at least have their audience of the currently existing customers, that kind of Rolodex, and then they can do and then basically you can use that data in a bunch of different smart ways, which we'll talk about later. But so thinking about referrals and partnerships, what I see work really well, especially when it comes to online courses. So a lot of the online courses that I bought are because I find the person on social media through a friend, Instagram, especially. The Instagram is just like bonkers for this stuff if you can build an audience there. Most that I bought, it's because I was browsing, right? The Discover tab brings up, someone doing something that, they think I'm interested in, and I click on it. And then it's like they're shouting out a friend, they're on their stories or whatever. They're partnering with them on giveaways and whatever. I click through to them. And then I follow them, and then I'm watching their stories. And then eventually, they're offering something free, and I sign up to it. And then they get me into their, $97, course, right? Instruction bundle, whatever it is. So for you, this becomes things like, so if you're an expert, in a space, you're teaching people how to, build a social media audience, which is pretty, tight space. And I'm not sure I'd want to be in that one. But there are a lot of people doing it. And obviously if you can teach people how to use social media, if you teach people how to use social media, and build an audience on social media, you should be building an audience on social media yourself, right? The proof is in the pudding. Same as the digital marketing agency. I've had people say, hey, I'm not going to hire this person because they're not ranking for their own keywords. So how can I be, how can I know that they can rank me for my keywords? And I used to say like, yeah, that's not really important, right? Because, they're just busy doing work for their friends or for their clients. But now I like to say that the cobbler's kids excuse is completely ridiculous, especially now. So same for you. If you're trying to teach people how to build, social media audiences, and you don't have a social media audience, you're gonna have a tough time. So I really like social media strategies like this, referrals and partnerships, because it can be a quick hit, right? If you can partner with someone, say you only have 5,000 followers, but they have 50,000 followers, right? That's going to get you in front of a much bigger audience pretty quickly, right? So doing things like partnered lives, shouting them out, reciprocal promotion, right? In email, on your social, right? Inviting them on to be a guest, right? Promoting them before they promote you. The best way to get promoted is to promote. And so I think Chris is doing a great job of this. I see a lot of other, people doing a great job of this. They're not saying that they're an expert in everything, right? I'm starting to have my own customers on Credo do webinars for basically their ideal audience, because they're the experts there. I'm not necessarily the expert in everything, right? I'm not the expert in everything. So by promoting them, then they promote us. But being genuine about it, and promoting them because they're genuinely bringing value to your audience. And then finally, being a guest for others to teach things of value to their audience for free. Of course, you can have a call to action there. If you want to learn more, you can go here. You can download the deck, just like I showed you. But bringing as much value as possible. That's where it starts. We're here to serve. I was getting a lot of questions about like, how do I promote without being spammy? Well, if you think you're being spammy, then that's the start of the problem, right? If you're like, oh, is this on the line? Is this spammy? Could be. If you're not sure about it, then you should really question, whether or not it is. But if you're coming at it not from the like, how do I not be spammy, but how do I serve? How do I help these people do the thing that they're looking to do that I'm the best in the world at? That is how we bring value, and genuinely serve our audience, which is what it always should have been about, right? And if we think that all marketing is spammy, then we're going to come across as spammy, or we're just not going to promote at all, even in healthy ways. And so let's get beyond that mindset. There are a lot of different strategies and social media and referral strategies out there, that I can't, I can't get super deep on them, in ways that are going to really, be of a ton of value to you. I'm happy to talk about them in depth in the Q&A, as much as I can. But first of all, as I said, shouting out your friends and getting them to shout you out, right? I like to think of these, I like to think of this as co-opetition, or, there's someone that's closely related to you. So, for example, if you're doing, like if you're a web development agency, right? Making friends with and partnerships with digital marketing agencies and design agencies and that sort of thing. Bringing them on to bring value to your own customers, and you going on to bring value to them. But shouting them out, sharing their stuff, sharing it on social media, sharing it in emails. Linking to it from your own blog post, that sort of thing, on your website. And then of course, using relevant hashtags in your posts. This is just a no-brainer if you want to grow, using those, and then engaging with people on there as well, engaging on people in the comments, encouraging comments. I see a lot of people, and really it's just marketers that are just like inundated with this. But the general world, the general audiences online love it when so I follow Lewis Howes, right? Lewis and I have a bunch of friends in common. I don't know him personally, but I respect him. And him and his buddies like Jay Shetty and people like that are always like, leave a comment below about how you're doing, right? Or like double tap and tell me 3 great things that happened. They're doing this and then they're engaging, right? And they might, I think Lewis actually has an assistant running a lot of his like DMs and that sort of thing. But he's still engaging, right? And like, I'll send him a message, and even just like a double tap heart. I don't care if it was Lewis or his assistant that did it. Doesn't make a difference to me, right? It makes me feel good. And so the general world loves this. Marketers might kind of throw some shade your way because they're always inundated. They know what's going on. But that's okay. And especially in this time, we're looking for connection, right? So if you're marketing on social media, you're on there organically, you have a good following, asking people to comment, asking them what's going on, and genuinely responding to them and caring, is a great way to go. And then this also helps boost your organic reach. And then I think one of the things to note about social media is that consistent content is what really wins. So using a tool like Edgar, meetedgar.com, Buffer, these sorts of tools to be consistently posting content. I post content, automatically onto the Creator Twitter account, that sort of thing. Some on my own, I'll schedule it for later. I use Edgar now. I used to use Buffer. Joel from Buffer, the founder, is a friend. But using tools like these to be consistently posting content, and not just your content, but also friends' content as well, right? As I said, shouting them out. You shout them out, they'll shout you out. So there are also a lot of opportunities for increasing referrals from relevant online sources. So when I first started Credo, when I first went out on my own 4.5 years ago, to work on Credo, so I actually went out on my own because I got laid off from my last job. I was the head of growth at a company, and the company had gotten acquired. I moved over to that company because I was with the acquiring company, and then got laid off a few months later, 4 or 5 months later. Um, and so I went out on my own, and basically the way I started generating interest to my company, the way I started generating leads, right, is a few ways. Number one, uh, friends and my audience referring people my way, right? Oh, John is doing this thing. You're looking for this. I can't help you. Why don't you go talk to him, right? They didn't even ask for money in return. I have set up some of those since then, but they would just refer them over my way. But then leveraging things like Quora, Reddit, and then other content sites kind of within your niche. So there's a few kind of pro tips I want to talk you through here that can be really useful. But once again, it all starts with providing the value, bringing the value to them, talking about new things that they don't know about, that you are an expert in, right? So not going in and just like republishing blog posts or republishing parts of posts. Hey, read the rest of it here, sort of thing. I've done that. And it doesn't work. Those get taken down, right? You're dinged on your quality score, like that sort of stuff. But if you do it right, this can work really, really well. So first of all, what one area that I love is Quora. So sign up for some Quora topics and see the kinds of emails that they send out. And then another way to do this is, first doing that, sign up for your own topics, see what's trending, and then go in and see how you can add value, to that, telling your own stories, talking about things that you've seen, that sort of area. If you got sent that email because it's a trending topic in that space, other people that are interested in that got sent it as well, and they're probably not being strategic about it like you are. They're just interested in it because they're a normal person, right? We're actually like trying to find opportunities here as marketers. So that's one great way to do it. Signing up to those to that trending content, so then you can go in and add value to that. Second one is, I love doing this. So as I said at the start, I come from an SEO background, and I've been doing SEO for about 11 years now, building websites since like I had a very well-read religious blog actually in 2002, 2003. I had some of like the biggest names in like the Christian, like evangelical world. I grew up in that world, commenting on my blog my like theology blog when I was like 17. It was insane. So I've been creating content online for close to 20 years now. But I've been doing SEO full time for about 10 to 11. And so one of the things I love doing here is, so yeah, trending content is great. It's kind of like you can do these partnerships and one-off promotions and that sort of stuff, but it's kind of spiky, right? So how can you leverage something like search in order to drive consistent referrals and traffic? So one thing I like to do is I go and I find core threads that are ranking within my niche. So if you use a tool like SEMrush or Ahrefs, if you actually use getcreator.com/SEMrush, you can get a free 30-day trial of it as well. Put in Quora.com into SEMrush. And also if you search like SEMrush keyword research, my site should come up. I actually have a guide to using SEMrush as well, teaching you how to do some of this stuff. But put in Quora and then type in kind of your own main keywords, right? How, whether it's yoga or web development or whatever, they rank pretty well. And so if you can find them, if they're ranking in the top 5, that means they're driving traffic, right? And if you can get the most upvoted comment there, then basically someone lands on that. It's just a question and your answer is going to be the first one, right? And so I put like, John at getcreator.com is my name there. And so then people see who it's by and it's like, oh, what's getcreator.com? And they type it in, right? If it makes sense to link back over to your site, then do that, right? You can drive referral traffic that way. But this can be a great way to drive just to kind of continue building that base, right? So we call this barnacle SEO. So you're basically piggybacking, you're barnacling, just like a barnacle onto a whale does. You're barnacling onto someone else's site and authority and traffic in order to drive traffic to your own company. Same thing with Reddit. Of course, Reddit is Reddit's more of a community than Quora is, of course, and people don't like, spammy people. So, becoming a trusted contributor to these subreddits. If you're already on Reddit, right, you have a yoga course, and you're, and you're on, r/yoga, or, something like that, consider trying to become a moderator, right? Then you're a trusted person and people know who you are. And, that can be very good as well. But if you're a trusted contributor, then sometimes you can get away, with things, or, they're just a little bit more lenient in terms of like, promotion. And then finally, but be very careful there, because Reddit, they're quick on the ban hammer. And then number 3, content sites. They're always looking for more content. So if you're a good writer, right, you're a creator, you're putting out content, which you probably are as a course creator, then consider trying to become a contributor, right? So like, I mean, all these sites are always looking for content, right? If they're known as a publication, they need more content. Why? Because the more content they have, the more eyeballs they're going to get, and the more ads they're going to be able to sell against that. So if you can provide them content, right, and you're proven as that, then this can be a great way to, to improve your standing in the industry. It's great for branding. It's great for SEO, because often you can get links back, right, even if just from your byline, and it's great for referrals. So this is a phenomenal way to build your own audience. A lot of my audience in the SEO space was built because there's this company called Moz, which a lot of you have probably heard of if you've done anything within SEO. That the agency I worked for in New York was partnered with them, and I love to write. And so I was basically blogging on there every 4 to 6 weeks. And so I was able to build a great audience in like 2 years. I went from basically I don't know, 600 followers on Twitter to like 18,000. And I'm getting close to double that, but that's taken another like 4.5 years, right? So this can be a great accelerant, as well. So you can even think about like that being the accelerant, one of the accelerants on the top of the lead gen ladder. So 1B is SEO, content, and organic. These can be huge drivers of growth for you. It does take concerted time and effort, and SEO can take a while, to take off, because there's kind of 3 different areas of SEO: technical, content, and links. I'm not going to get deep into each one of these, but read the Moz Beginner's Guide to SEO. It helps you set that base. But lucky for you, you're a content company, right? So you've got those, you've got that middle one covered, right? You can leverage your content library and other free content, to drive growth. I also want to say, don't forget, and this is something I keep reminding myself of, and my friend Ross Simmons, at the Foundation, they're a B2B content marketing company. I think they mostly focus on SaaS though. But Ross is all about repurposing, right? And it's funny because he and I have riffed a lot on the kind of the Quora and Reddit stuff I just showed you. But remember, every piece of content that you create for social, this can also be leveraged on other platforms, right? On your own website, so it can drive traffic there. On YouTube to drive, audience and viewers there. Especially if you're creating video. I mean, this stuff is amazing. So don't forget that content that you're putting, if you're producing it, outside of just like going live on social media, right? You're producing it, you're editing it, you're adding in, screens and that sort of stuff. Why would that not be on your site? Why would that not be on your YouTube channel? Why would that not be in these other places? And so what this does is dramatically increases the number of, free content out there. You're putting it for free on social, right? Why not put it, for free on your own website? So then you can drive traffic there and then get them into your funnel. So we're repurposing content, that we're doing. So there are a few things to remember, so that you can leverage your own content for SEO, and growth. So number 1, if you want a page to rank, in the search engines, then it needs to be publicly accessible. If it's behind a login wall, it's not going to rank. Quite simply, Google can't log in, their crawler can't log in. We often call Google's crawler, which is basically how they discover content. And then, and they're discovering it through links. They're discovering it through your XML sitemaps and Google Search Console, that sort of stuff. And Moz's guide goes a lot deeper, into this. But we often call Google's crawler the 4th or 5th persona. So you have your personas of people, that you're marketing to. And then Google search bot is another persona as well. And they need content to be publicly accessible. They can't log in. Number 2 is links from other sites to yours are going to help you rank. And I love partnerships for this. I was just talking about getting content on, on kind of the big publications, in your space. This is great for driving, links and traffic referrals, back to you, but then it's also going to help you rank. And then number 3, I love how-to content. If you're a content creator and you're running an online course, you need how-to content. So say you, so one of the influencers I follow is Jenna Scare from Doc Jen Fit is her thing, on on social media. She's great. But she basically teaches people how to get more mobile. So she's a doctor of physical therapy. If you didn't know, physical therapists are MDs. I learned that going through physical therapy a couple of years ago for a herniated disc. But she teaches people, and that's actually when I bought her course. And she teaches people how to get more mobile, right? Because she was a gymnast and has scoliosis and this sort of stuff. So basically, she teaches people how to stretch, which is kind of a cool business. But she leverages how-to content a lot on her own site. How to stretch out your traps, how to stretch out tight calves, like that sort of stuff. These are all things I've Googled, right? So she's putting out this sort of content. She's doing them as videos, but then also the way you can leverage this even more for SEO is also getting a transcript done. I use rev.com. It's like $1.25 a minute. So you do a 30-minute webinar or 30-minute or video, or even if you do a 10-minute video, that's going to cost you what, $12 to get it transcribed, and then taking that, getting it edited well, pulling out the key points and publishing that so it's readable. This is a great way to build organic traffic to your site and top of funnel awareness through SEO. And then things to remember to leverage your own content for SEO and growth include researching the keywords your competitors are ranking for. Once again, you can use getcreator.com/semrush for a free 30-day trial. Keyword gap is a tool you're going to want. So basically you can put in, your main competitor and then your own site. And then in between there's going to be a little, it's going to have like two overlapping circles. Click on that. This is kind of a pro tip that actually took me a while to learn. Click on that and you could say like, only show me the keywords that this first one is ranking for. The second one, your site is not ranking for. And then you can find all the keywords, all the and it's filtered down to like how to and what is and all that sort of stuff, and identify the things that they've published that they're ranking well for that you are not. And then you can go and you can create that content because it's directly within your within your space. Number 2 is put as much time into promoting content as you do into creating it. When I publish a piece of content, I think, how can I get 2 or 3 links out of this piece, right? Same as when I do a webinar, I think, how can I've recently started thinking, because I've been doing a lot more webinars, I've been thinking, how do I take this webinar and not just do it for one, e-commerce company, for example, how can I do it for multiple? Right? How can I help the most people? And so when it comes to SEO, every piece you publish, think, how can I get 2 or 3 links to this piece, right? This is getting at the strategy. It's not just like publishing content for the sake of publishing content, but publishing content for the sake of, for the purpose of getting more eyeballs on it, right? And the way you rank is getting a couple of links. And usually if you can get 1, 2, 3 sites linking to your, to this piece of content, it's a long form piece of content, video, blah, 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 that's going to rank. That's really all you need usually. So people often make the mistake of thinking, how can I get thousands of links to my site? No, let's think about how do we get 2 to each piece of content. And that mindset is going to serve you a lot better. Because it doesn't paralyze you. And then number 3 is using modifiers on your keywords, main keywords. So best, free, 2020, that sort of stuff works really, really well. And I'm just checking the time. I have more content than I thought. So 1C is paid ads. So once you've set your base with referrals, SEO, and content, then in my opinion, it makes sense to use ads to grow. And I leverage my friends that are ads experts. I'm not an ads expert. I was literally on the phone with a 30-minute call with a buddy of mine who's a Facebook ads expert this morning, a guy that Chris knows also. That he was basically teaching me about Facebook ads. I bought a course of his actually last year as well. So one caveat is, and as I said at the start, what's the best channel? It's the channel you know the best. So if you know ads well, or you know someone who is, and you have the cash to test out these channels, this can be a great way to expedite acquisition. You can even do this because referrals and partnerships and SEO and content, all that takes time to build up this library, right? But if you know ads, but also having that content helps ads convert better. So it's kind of a trade-off. But if you have the means to test these out, it can be a great way to expedite it. So the main platforms, of course, are social media, Google, and different display networks. Ads can be useful to drive those with high intent. If you don't know what you're doing, they can also be a colossal waste of money. So the first advertising that you should do is social retargeting and lookalike audiences based off your customer base. So what this means is setting up retargeting campaigns on Facebook. So, site visitors in the last 30 days that haven't bought, right, with an exclusion audience, then retargeting them and getting them to come back. You can also do this with like kind of a different day lengths, right? So like first 3 days, there's like, they're looking to purchase. And then after that, retargeting them with something, maybe something free, and then targeting them with a downloadable, join a a challenge, that kind of thing. And then lookalike audiences. So you have, say, 10,000 people that came to your site, and then basically building a lookalike audience of that. So it dramatically increases the number of people that you can get in front of because they look like the same kind of person to Facebook based off their psychographics, their personal attributes. I do also just want to say the reason I put this third is because until you have a substantial business, search ads and ads for the top of funnel awareness are too risky. Branding, that sort of thing, is too risky for my blood and my money. But different people have different risk tolerances. And if you can find people that know how to do this well and make it profitable, go for it. And then especially for online course creators, when you do dabble into ads, I'd say start with social, right? Facebook, Instagram, retargeting, as we just talked about. If you do run Google ads, then keyword research is of the essence. And this is where it pays well to have a subscription to something like SEMrush. And knowing what is profitable. This can also be a great way to test out keywords that you then build content for, to know what keywords, if you rank well for them, they're going to be profitable and driving business for you as well. I do also say, if you have any sort of brand, bidding against your own brand is good defense against competitors. I see people, software companies and such online all the time, and marketers love to debate this. I'm just here to tell you, bid on your branded terms. The clicks are cheap, and it's basically insurance against your competitors outranking you, for these terms, because Google does let you run ads against your competitors. So if you want to do that, go for it. And it can work well. There's a reason why competitors will bid on yours. But before running ads, what you need to understand is your on-site conversion rates, right? So having that set up in Google Analytics, making sure that is all set up. Your ARPU, right? Your average revenue per user. So how much money do you make from them? How much do you make every month, right? It's hard to make like a $7 a month, product or course profitable on ads, because it's going to take a while, to make that money back. I always shoot for about 3 months. That's a reasonable payback period. That's what we see a lot in SaaS. Or just like acquiring them if you have good add-ons and upgrades, and then acquiring them basically at break even. It can take 12 months to get them profitable if they stay on that same one, if you know that your retention is good, but then you have add-ons and such so you can upsell them to as well, and that's just pure profit for you because you already earned that person. All right, so how are we doing? If y'all would, if there are any questions, well, first of all, just put in the chat. And tell me how you're doing. Are you jiving? Are you jiving with me? Are you following? Is this bringing value to you? If so, just say yes. I would love to get some feedback, and keep this going. I'm going to drink some water. Keith says yes. Keegan says yes. Kurt says yes.
Yeah, you're doing awesome, man. This is like a fire hose. I'm like, I just made a note. Like, I work off of a piece of paper during the day. I'm like, rewatch John's presentation.
I love it.
Because there's so many gems. You're just like boom, 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 boom. You're just dropping it. And I just want to encourage everybody out there that's listening. You don't have to do all this at once. John is taking us on a lightning tour. And you're just dropping all the keys. I love it. This is so awesome.
Yeah. Cool. So I appreciate that for sure. So let's keep on going. Let's keep on going then. I appreciate that. And yeah, as you said, Chris, this isn't like a, come back and this isn't a like one and done, go do all these things now, right? You got to stage them out, right? You got to start the acquisition, then you get into getting people to your site, then then turn them into a lead and turn them into a customer. And some of those you get to your site, you're just going to turn into a customer, right? But these things grow over time and the funnels grow and change over time. There's also a comment here about how from Cody about how these are the same content mechanics that have been around for years, and many of these are starting to get out of date. In that case, Cody, you're ahead of a lot of people, and you're ahead of the game. And actually, a lot of these are really they're just kicking up. From what I've seen, and a lot of people honestly need to stop looking for the silver. And I'm not saying this is you, but a lot of people need to stop looking for the silver bullets, and they need to get back to the basics. And if they're just starting out, then this is gonna get them started with the basics. And we have to constantly be going back to the basics to make sure that we're not forgetting those, because we're trying to get fancy with things. So getting into lead acquisition now. Now that people are coming to your website, right? Now it's time to convert them into a lead. So for a lot of you online, with online courses, it's a pretty straight conversion funnel. You're not in B2B, which is the world that I live in mostly. It's kind of a longer funnel because it's they come to the site, you get them to sign up to a piece of content, and then you take them through that, and so that's a lead, and you take them through that, and then they schedule, and then they submit another form, and they're a marketing qualified lead, and then you get on the phone with them, and then turn them into a sales qualified lead, and they become a prospect, and then you try to close them into a client. It's a long process. For a lot of you, it's a lot shorter. So it's a site visitor, it's a social media follower to a site visitor, lead with email, challenge, that sort of stuff, turning into a customer. And so some things to remember here are ABB, always be building your email list, always be building your social media followings, own your email list, as I said. Offering something of value in exchange for an email is a tried and true method where everybody should start. If you're not doing this, if you have a ton of blog posts out there, but you're not offering upgrades, then you need to start there, right? Like, let's get back to the basics and make sure we're doing that well, now. And I'm going to talk about that here in just a minute. And exclusive content, of course, is really easy to offer. Get one email per week that doesn't get posted publicly. This content, you can't get this content anywhere else, so don't miss out, right? And so that's FOMO marketing, which works really, really well. And I'm going to talk about exit intents here in just a second. But then there's also right now, speaking a lot to needs and speaking a lot to like, what are people needing, right? So, they're struggling with, anxiety, right? I've had horrible anxiety the last few weeks. They're struggling with anxiety, they're struggling with isolation, they're struggling with, stress, right? Maybe they lost their job or something like that. And so speaking to those needs and genuinely trying to help them. So one that I like a lot is Stratechery. So Stratechery is obviously in the tech space. It's a tech publication, but it's a membership site. And so basically Ben sends out content every day, but if you're a free subscriber like I am, then I get one email a week. I think it comes out on Wednesdays. I think I got it yesterday. So that's kind of where to start. So to properly generate leads, of course, you have to have form software, right? Many ESPs have this, email service providers, like MailChimp, Drip, ConvertKit, myriad of others. I've used MailChimp, Drip. I'm currently on an active campaign because I said mostly we do B2B. ConvertKit, though, is for creators. They're a phenomenal team over there. I've known Nathan for a long time. So it's pretty simple, right? So people are like, where do I get started? And a lot of, Chris, I assume a lot of these, like, a lot of companies like yours, learning management systems, also have kind of integrations with this sort of thing, so that you can make sure that they're watching content, bringing them back, and kind of doing the life cycle stuff once they're a customer.
Totally.
So, and many of these offer free accounts up to a certain number of subscribers. I think ConvertKit just increased theirs to 500. I don't know if MailChimp has it anymore. I forget about Drip, but I know ConvertKit does. I'm not a ConvertKit customer, by the way. And that is not not sponsored at all. But it's I just know that they're there for creators. So most popular and easiest way to build an email list: pop-ups and exit intent pop-ups. So marketers, as I said, find these annoying, but the truth is that they work. There's a reason why they're out there. They work really, really well. So here's an example of one. This is Jen's site, right? I was on her site yesterday as I was putting this together. And this is actually just on her homepage. And I went up, and I think this one was actually on a time delay. It was like 20 seconds because I was there, and then I went away and was doing things, taking some screenshots, and I came back and this was there. Right. And so I love what this does because it's a couple of things. One, it's simple. That it's just name and email, right? I wish you would tell me like first name, right? Like first name, last name, whatever it is that you want. Do you want my full name? Maybe, like, let me know. And then what's your email? She could have some placeholder text in here as well. But I bet this works pretty well. It also shows a photo of her being super mobile, right? So if you're here, you're learning about mobility and movement, and she can freaking do that, right? Like, that's crazy, right? So she obviously knows what she's talking about. And then she also says it's weekly, right? And then it's a quick fill out, name and email, and I'm in. And it's an excited, like, I'm in, exclamation point, like, let's do it. This is great. And another thing that a lot of people, you've probably been seeing, is there are challenges all over the place right now. Chris, I don't know if you've launched yours yet. I've thought about doing one, but challenges are all the rage right now. And once again, they work really, really well. So here's ClickFunnels team, and this is what they do. So theirs is called One Funnel Away, and it's actually, I think it's onefunnelaway.com. And this is actually a paid challenge, because they want people to, they send you a box. I actually have one around here somewhere of all the things they send you. It's like a book and all sorts of stuff. But basically their challenge is to build a funnel, and it's selling the hope, right? Selling the dream of like, you're one funnel away from having your own business, one funnel away from having your own, from controlling your own destiny by making money online. And so, say what you will about Russell and, and the kind of marketing that they do. I actually respect him a lot. But people love competing, and they love being challenged to do something to better themselves. What I found, I'm a pretty skeptical person when it comes to a lot of marketing, but there's a lot of people, it's like, it's a free challenge. At first I was like, what do you mean? Of course it's free. Like, it's a challenge. Like, I'm not going to pay you to be challenged. But then I thought about it and I was like, well, ClickFunnels does it. And, any gym, like what are they doing? They're selling you the dream, right? They're selling you the dream of a better body. So, and you pay for that, right? You pay for a membership to that. And so people do love free stuff. And it gets them in there, into the system, as well. It's a great way to acquire leads. And then of course, things like, social media followings, Instagram, et cetera, can be a great way. You can get special features like swipe up. I don't have that, but would love it, to refer people to blog posts and, challenges and that sort of stuff. So if that's where you're building your audience, then this is a great great way to leverage it as well, and moving people from being just a social media follower to an email subscriber, as well. And of course, you can do the link in bio and that sort of stuff. And there's a bunch of tools, Linktree and all of that to leverage, as well. And making sure that you have these things. Once again, getting back to the basics, if you're doing a challenge and you don't have more than 10,000 followers, you got to have that link in your bio, or have it like top of your Linktree or whatever it is. I'm gonna grab some water real quick. All right. So keeping on with lead acquisition. So I think one thing to remember that a lot of people don't do is, so a lot of people that I see kind of promoting on social media, they're just going for social media followers. But as I just said, if you can move them from being a social media follower to being an email subscriber, then, you have much more control over them, and you're able to better, market to them, even if because everyone's in their inbox. Of course, I guess people are on social media, tell more right now as well, and increasingly so just across society. But capturing these emails is the gold. And so if you take part in giveaways, you're partnering up with others on webinars, that sort of thing, something gated via email, make sure to get them to share those email addresses with you, and vice versa. If you're hosting it, give them the email addresses. If they're hosting it, partner up to get the email addresses from them. Make sure that's explicit, that emails that are signed up here are going to be shared. This can go in the terms of service. If you don't want to do that, you can still make use of these, put them into Facebook audiences, Facebook custom audiences, that sort of thing. Build retargeting and look like audiences off of those. So even if you can't directly email them because of CAN spam, CAN-SPAM, which is funny, because that's the like don't spam people legislation. So I like to call it don't spam, or can't spam instead of can spam. But emails are super valuable here anyways. And so just in case I haven't been clear enough, always own your own customers' data. Always own your customers' data. Don't have it in someone else's. Don't let Facebook own it or something like that, especially someone that you're not paying like them, to store that data, right? If you're if you're on ConvertKit or MailChimp or something like that, like I believe you own that data, right? And you can move that data to somewhere else. It's not just locked up in there. All right, so there we go with lead generation. And there's a lot that I didn't cover there. There's a lot with automation and, and that sort of thing. I love when someone signs up, then sending them send them a welcome email, send them to a video, that sort of thing. A lot of these have automations in place. I know ConvertKit does, Drip does, ActiveCampaign does, probably MailChimp does now. I haven't used them in a while. But doing automated things, welcoming them, getting them to, to engage even more. But so you've done the work now, you've gotten them, to your social media, you've gotten them to your site, you've gotten them to convert into a lead, an email address, through whatever means that we've already talked about. So now how do you get them to pay? So there are some tried and true ways. And I'm sure I bet a lot of you on here, especially if you're building membership sites, you're probably more of an expert in this than I am, but I'm going to talk about what I know. There are some tried and true ways, but once again, you're going to have to put in the work to find what resonates best with your audience and for your offer. So take the initial, lessons, and then and then testing from there with pricing and bundles and and all that sort of stuff. So there are really four main ways to get four main schools of thought that I have followed that can work well. In order to get people to buy. So number one, of course, is doing launches. So you kind of go into launch mode and you say, okay, I'm launching a book, I'm launching a course, I'm doing something like that. You have this list that you've been building, so you start warming them up, with content ahead of time. Then you start telling them that, hey, this is going to be opening on this date. Then the cart is open, and then there's more content coming out. It's open for 7 days, and then basically on the last day you push them harder. 8 hours before it closes, this is going to close, right? And it's kind of the end. You see a big spike in the middle, it troughs off, and then it spikes at the end. This is Jeff Walker's product launch formula. His book is called Launch. I've used this effectively. I've had multiple 6-figure launches using Jeff's product launch formula, and his book, so I learned that I haven't subscribed to his, he does have a course, product launch formula, but his book Launch kind of walks you through all of it as well. And that's where I learned all of it from. Evergreen funnels. So Brennan Dunn of Double Your Freelancing and Right Message, he wrote a post over on Growth Lab. So if you just search Brennan Dunn, Growth Lab, anatomy of a 6-figure email funnel, something like that, he outlines his funnel, and his evergreen funnel for Double Your Freelancing. And he's done, I think he's done all of these. And then open and close cart, right? So this is scarcity, is opening on this date, is closing on this date. Couple that with launch and the product launch formula. And then cohorts. So this is a twist on open or close. This is what a lot of, so you launch into a cohort. So I've done this with like agency accelerators, on Credo. A lot of bigger influencers will, yeah, sorry, Phil, I tend to talk quick. I'll try to slow it down. So open and close cart, once again, this is scarcity. And so people are afraid of missing out. Once again, it's FOMO. I would say don't do this one right now. Just because, people are just looking for content at all sorts of different times right now. So I would actually say, like, don't do this one. You can do launches to open it up if it's something new. But at this point, evergreen funnels or cohorts are going to work, are going to work well. Cohorts aren't going to work nearly as well. It's just always having it available. So I've done them all. I've tried them all. They work for different, types of content at different times. But right now, in crisis times, I would say, it's always be selling, always be helping, always be serving. So there are some pro moves that you can use to get people to check out. Something that I love doing as a marketer, as a business builder, is looking at what people are doing in other verticals, other types of businesses, and then repurposing it for yours. So one that is really, really useful, one that works really, really well in e-commerce, is abandoned cart email. So think about this for your own course, right? So someone is, they're a lead and they click through and you have them out, they go to your checkout page, but they don't check out, right? What if you sent them an email 30 minutes later that's encouraging them, like, hey, you forgot something email, or hey, here's a discount if you buy in the next 30 minutes, sort of thing, right? Offering them a discount. Obviously don't, give away all of your profit. You need to understand your metrics before you start offering discounts. But if you offer them a, 10% discount, get in today and get, 10% off, right? Or get in today and get a free couple of months, which is working really well right now in SaaS. Then, this is something that you can encourage to finish up your purchase. Click here to go back, right? And they're already logged in and they're able to finish the checkout. If they view the pricing or checkout page, retargeting them with ads promoting action, the benefits can work really well, right? So testimonials or a personal message from you, sort of thing. I would only do this. I would keep this very time bound, though. I'd keep this within just like 2 to 3 days, of them visiting it. In which case, then put them into kind of a longer sequence. Another one to consider is a free trial or getting a taste of our exclusive content, right? Get a free lesson, something like that, or see the first lesson for free. And so you send that to them by email. And then you basically have, a harder sell, right? Here's what you're missing out on, right? Or here's what you get, here are the benefits, here's the additional content that you get, if you sign up now. And once again, you can couple that with, a 10% off or something like that. So with all of that said, let's talk about pricing quickly. a lot of people, I see this in the agency world, I see this in e-commerce, I see this in SaaS, I see it in courses. I've been guilty of it myself, might be guilty of it with something we're launching as well. So I might want to rethink that. But a lot of you have just one option for someone to buy. I think a lot of times this is a bad strategy. It can be a good strategy in that it's simple. It's like, this is what you get. People are like, okay, cool. But it's bad because it gives people just one chance to say no, right? It's really easy to say no to one thing. But if you give them multiple options, and especially if you're anchoring them to something higher, right, you have kind of a higher tier, then they have to say no 3 times to you. So I learned this from Chris, and I have a mentor in common named Chris Lima. And I learned this from him. And I see it work really well when it comes to pricing pages as well. If you just have one offer, it makes it easy for people to be like, okay, well, do I do the free one or do I do the paid one? I'm going to go to the free one, right? But when you add on, and I've seen this in my own business recently, if you add on a third one, right? So you can have like, this is our free tier and this is what you get, but you don't get all these things. This is the next tier and it's great for most people. And then here's the top tier, which you might want, but it's like 3x as expensive as that middle tier. People, people buy the top tier. Turns out you're going to make more money. You're going to be able to serve them well because they have that need. But a lot of them will be like, well, you know, if you had just had those 2 offers, right? Free and then paid, they're like, well, I'm not quite ready. I don't think I'm ready for that one. So like, let's go with the free one. But if you add on a third option, they actually look at that third option and they're like, I'm not quite ready for that one, but that middle one sounds good, right? These are the people that would have been on for free, but now they're actually paying you. So we want to get them to that. Like, I don't quite need that top level. That's not quite my persona, but that middle one sounds better than the free one because I need those things. So these are various levels of memberships as well, right? So maybe, the low one, right? It's like $97 and, they get course content, that sort of thing, but they don't get, monthly live webinars and all of that. They can't ask you questions, that sort of thing. If they go up to the next level, then they can. If they go up to the third level, then they get, exclusive invites to in-person things when we can go back to in-person conferences and masterminds, right? So think about how to layering on these levels of value that you get asked about. This is my own pricing page. As I said previously, Credo was just, free to clients or free to people looking to hire. Then I added in the second level and I added in the third level recently. And people buy the third, right? So like people will buy the second one expedited, at 149, but people are also buying the higher level one as well because they need the things that I offer in there, right? And it's more consulting and higher touch and that sort of stuff. But I wasn't even giving them the option before, right? I just saw a tweet today, which I very much agree with, where they were talking about like, okay, when you show your pricing page, a software company or a course company, right? When you show your pricing page, what about if there's a whale, right? These big ones that want to buy, right? They don't want to pay, $149 or $499. They want to pay you $4,999, right? Should you have that option there? Maybe I should have that option here, right? But they want that higher touch, right? So having that ability for, an enterprise option or custom quote or whatever it is, so you make it easy for them to buy. And right now, people need to know exactly what they're getting for the money that they're spending because people's budgets have tightened up. Even if they haven't gotten laid off, which way too many people have gotten laid off right now. And I think it's awesome that all of us being entrepreneurs, we can employ people and we can help them, make some money during this time. But they need to know exactly what they're getting, right? So you need to tighten up your copy. You need to say, this is what you're paying. This is what you're getting, right? This is what you're not getting. Then this next level, here's what you're going to get. And making it very, very clear to them what they're going to get. This is really good. Like, it's just good practice anyways, but you have to have it now. And then above all, so when people are buying online courses, a lot of people that I see buying online courses, they buy them because the person is an expert. So I talk about, hiring coaches and having mentors and that sort of thing. And a lot of people, I get a lot of pushback on that actually. Because people are like, everybody's a coach these days, right? Everyone's saying that they want to coach me. Everyone's trying to be a coach, blah, blah, blah. And people are, they're skeptical, right? But by showing your personality and showing your expertise, personality sells, and expertise with personality sells even better, which I should have put in here. People are still buying things. I think right now, or I see a lot of people being like, I don't know, like, should I sell? Are people buying? People are buying. People are buying differently. Consumer needs have changed in the last, 3 weeks, last month, but people are still buying and they're buying things that are valuable to them. And guess what? People right now are buying things that make them feel good. They're like, So story for me personally. So, I've been at home for over, 3.5 weeks now, only been out a couple times. I've been looking at buying a new pair of shoes for a while. And the other day I was like, you know what? Screw it. I'm just going to go ahead and buy them. Like, they're going to come here. I'm not going to be able to wear them out. That's fine. I'm just going to wear them around the house, right? They're not going to be dirty from going out. I'm just going to wear them around the house because that's going to make me feel good, right? A new pair of shoes. So this is the kind of thing that people are, are thinking about. I take forever to make decisions like that, but I was like, you know what? I'm going to do this because it's going to make me feel good. Um, so, uh, so I think it's good for us to remember that. But one word of caution is that because people are still buying things that are valuable to them, don't just go making things free or reduced just because of that. A lot of people are doing this because they think that that's the differentiator and they think that's what people want. I want you to remember that freemium is an acquisition strategy. It's not a business model. Chris and I were at a conference 6 months ago, right, Chris? October, San Diego, which it's April now, where a guy gave a talk, Patrick Campbell from Profitwell, gave a talk about freemium, and he was talking about SaaS businesses, but it's the same for online courses. Freemium is an acquisition strategy, not a business model. If people who only sign up because it's free are much less likely to take action, right? You get the whole thing, for free. Like what reason do they have to upgrade, right? This is why I like the get the first lesson for free, right? I just used, I use Headspace for meditation, right? And it's kind of a course. I mean, it's a meditation app, but they have a free, like 10-day get started with meditation. Honestly, I first used Headspace in 2016 when I was super anxious and stressed out starting my company. I just bought from them. I bought an annual membership from them last Friday.
2-year sales cycle.
Crazy long sales cycle. It's like,
Yeah.
maybe they're seeing that now. I don't know. I was like, but you know what? I'm tired of just going through these like 10 lessons. Like, I know how to meditate now. Like, let's go deeper. So yeah, that's freemium. But it's, but then eventually I bought, and then, that's their business model, their annual licenses and that sort of thing. And they made it a no-brainer for me because it was like monthly is $12.99, but if you do an annual license, then it's like $6.70 or something like that per month. I was like, shit, half off for doing the annual license. Like, I'm in. It's like 5 months or 12 months for the same price. Yeah, let's go. But I do want you to to think about this, and maybe it does make sense now to kind of lower the barrier to entry, give them a little bit more content for free, right? Just to prove to them that what you're talking about, and they're not going to be wasting their money, because people have always been afraid of that, but they're even more afraid of that now. But don't just go making it free for the sake of making it free. And I've made stuff free as well, right? But like, that's also shown me that, hey, this thing I created isn't something that people are like really, really interested in. And so, it can be a good way to test out needs, right? And how much people want it. But don't think about it as your business model. So there you go. If you need more, if you're building online courses, or you have an online course that's doing well and it's growing really well, you're looking to expedite it, we can help you at Credo. Go to getcredo.com/schedule-demo. I will be putting this up online, and I'll get Chris to email out the link once this deck is there, and you can download it. But I hope that this has been super useful to you and inspiring to you. I've tried to give you a lot of resources, and help you focus. But think about as you're thinking about growing your online course. Right now, we got to be serving. We got to be showing as much value as possible. We got to be serving. We got to be showing our expertise, and we got to be messaging towards the hope that they're going to come out of this better, right? Like, we've all been at home for a number of weeks now. No one's going to the gym. Right. So if you're selling like your course is helping people get in shape, you're selling the hope that they're going to be in the same shape as they were in before, and maybe even better when they come out. Right. We're selling that. We're not selling like fear of missing out because we're going to fall behind our friends. You got to help people with the hope these days. And that's really what we're selling. And doing it as an expert as well. And so think about it as traffic and audience acquisition. How do you do that? Lead acquisition, getting in their emails, and then finally conversion, and helping them buy and serving them, because you're the expert.
Wow, this is awesome, John. I just want to thank you for just the treasure trove of information here, and for you that are here, type in the chat what you found the most useful or what strategy you might try next that you learned about today. And let's get into the Q&A. Post in the chat. I've been collecting your questions as John was presenting, so we're going to get into those. You can also press the raise your hand button if you want to come live and ask live through a conversation. Cody will bring you up in a sec. Um, and yeah, just type in the chat what you found the most useful and what further questions you have. You are lucky to have John in front of you today as a marketing and sales expert. So this is your chance to ask specific questions to your use case or for him to elaborate on stuff. And just to quickly move through the questions that have already come. You mentioned it, but just at a high level, John, how do we come off as not being a predatory marketer in these times? Like, what's the key in our messaging? Or you kind of mentioned, like, if you think you're being spammy or weird, you probably are. But
Mm-hmm.
like, what else, like at a high level, do you have to that point?
Yeah. So I think that's definitely where we need to start with that mindset. And I think we should ask ourselves, right? And so, if we were just making sure to sense check it, if you feel like a little bit weird about it, then it's probably, you should probably think deeper about it and maybe consider not doing it. But ways to come across as spammy are things like, giving a coronavirus discount, right? Or
Yeah,
like,
like a coupon code or something. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Like a COVID sucks, like
Yeah.
coupon code or something like that. Like that is you taking advantage. And so, I would keep away. I would keep away from that. You can offer that same like discount code, in a way that is really speaking like to their needs, right? Like, stay at home, those sorts of things. If you're selling like an online fitness course or something like that, and encouraging people to stay at home. Like I personally have no ethical problem with that. But like I said, I think the important thing to keep in mind here is that people are still buying. What you have is still valuable to them, and for some of you, what you have is even more valuable to people now, and they need it even more, right? And so you're not there to sell. You're not there to just get them in, and they're another member, another subscriber, whatever. You're there to serve them, and you're there to meet their needs. And so when you approach it from that way, it is much more your whole demeanor is going to change, right? And people are going to sense that, as opposed to like, yeah, get in 50% off for now and it's ending in 7 days. People are like, I have no freaking clue when this thing is going to end. Am I still going to be at home in July? Like, why do I need to buy in the next 7 days, right? Like, maybe I'm not going to buy till May once I become convinced that this thing is that I'm not going to be able to go back to my gym, right? So if you're going hard on the sell, I wouldn't go hard on the sell these days, right? Approach it from the like, hey, here's, I'm also now working from home, and here's some challenges that I've been facing, or like I came up with this new like movement flow, that you can do easily, like, in the 15 minutes between meetings right now, right? Like that's the sort of stuff that people are going to resonate with right now. So that's how you avoid, being a spammy marketer.
There's a question from James and Noah, and a couple other people asked it in a slightly different way, and you're touching on it now, but they're using the words like helping people make the buying decision or pull the trigger or close. What's an example of a soft close that just kind of comes off in good form these days, or like a technique or a style of selling to at the moment right before the conversion? What do we do?
Yeah, that's a really, really solid question. So I would say, well, getting back to like our personas and like what do people need right now, Chris, I would say that, I mean, people are just taking longer to make decisions, right?
Yeah,
And
there's a lot of
so,
stress.
yeah,
Yeah.
there's a lot of stress, some people have lost their jobs. Like it's tough. It's tough out there right now. And as I said, like people are watching their budgets a lot tighter. And so really it comes back to how can you get them, how can you give them something of value, right? Giving them like a free 3-day course or free 3-day like intro, like that kind of thing. Whereas before maybe you gave them a day, right? And so giving them more and getting them, coming to trust you. And then, I honestly, I would be less promotional. I would mention, what it is that you have to offer, less often. If you've been doing like so there's one there's one guy that I follow. I'm not gonna say his name, but I follow him on Instagram, and he's always been very promotional, and he's always been like, I can, I'm looking for 5 entrepreneurs that want to make, that want to grow from 10K to 50K a month, over the
Yeah.
course of this year, and he's still doing that.
Yeah.
Right? Like that is tone deaf right now, right? That is tone deaf. It turns me off. I almost unfollowed him yesterday because I was like, that is not resonating with people these days, right? Like, let's talk about maintaining. Let's talk about weathering the storm. Let's talk about like keeping your business, consistent, and serving your customers like that. That's not at all what he's talking about. So those hard closes are just coming across as tone deaf, these days. One thing that I'm seeing a few people doing that I think is really interesting. I don't know how effective it is right now, but how effective it is. I haven't seen the results on it yet. And I apologize if you all can hear my dog barking.
It's all good.
Um,
It's all good.
Work from home life, right?
Yeah.
But what I'm seeing is people actually inviting like even free subscribers. It's like, hey, I'm gonna go live on Zoom here and like tomorrow at 1 p.m. Like, come and ask me your questions, right? They're not paying you anything. Be like, hey, let's just hang out. I want to answer your questions. Like I want to help you out, right? There's no sales pitch. Even say there's no sales pitch, right? And the funny thing is when you say there's no sales pitch, people go and look for what it is that you're selling. But you're not going to make a sales pitch. You're not asking them for money, but you're just trying to provide them that value there, right? And giving them that access that they didn't necessarily have before. So I think there's some interesting things that we can do that way, that they're super, super soft to no sell. But it's going to, set you apart from other people that are still doing I'm looking for 10 entrepreneurs that want to 5X their business in the next 3 months sort of people.
Right. Well, wow, that's some solid advice. I've got a couple more questions here before we get to Cody, but um, you mentioned Instagram. This is actually a question for me. But, you mentioned Instagram, and in this audience of course creators, people building training-based membership sites. I mean, not every niche lends itself to Instagram, but a lot of them do. And let's just look at the mega niches like health, wealth, and relationships. And if we have an online presence in Instagram, how do we connect? Let's use an example like we have a lot of natural healthcare practitioners who teach various things online. What is a natural healthcare practitioner? How do we connect the dots? What do they put on Instagram and connect it to a sale? I just wanted to outline that. And let's say it has to do with like a combination of like body movement, nutrition, and some stress relieving activities. And we can take pictures of all those things. Like, what do we do?
I'm not quite sure I understand the question, Chris. Like, are you talking more about like tracking or like setting up the funnel, or like what are we talking about
More
here?
like the funnel. Like, how do we connect picture to Instagram to becoming a customer in our training-based membership site where we teach people our method of like health and wellness?
Yep. Good question. So first of all, I mean, it starts with that audience, right? So driving people to follow you, watching your stories, like that, that sort of thing. And then, the various, kind of strategies that I outlined. And then from there, so if you don't have that, like, kind of, swipe up feature, or, you're posting to your feed. So stories get a lot more, visibility now than the feed does. The feed does still get visibility, but it's getting way less, right? Because Instagram gave you a ton of free visibility, organic reach, and then now they're pulling it back because they can monetize you, right? Just like I talked about.
Right.
So feed isn't quite as effective, but you can also like automatically post stuff to your story, right? So you can still drive people in there. Telling a story and then saying like, if you want to learn more, right, link in bio, or like finish the story at, link in bio, drive them to a blog post, something like that. Using a tool like Linktree. There's a bunch of them out there. I use Linktree personally. linktr.ee is what I use. And then connecting it to a buyer on your site. So when you put in that, by default, unless this has changed, but by default, that traffic, when you're clicking through from, like an Instagram account, that is going to come across what we call dark social. So like it's going to come across as direct traffic within your Google Analytics. So you can use Google's UTM builder to define the, you know, source, medium, campaign. You know, so source is Instagram, medium is referral, and campaign is, you know, whatever, you know, stretching as a service, you know,
Right.
whatever it is. And then that is getting them, you know, into the site. And then you're offering, you know, email upgrades, like that sort of thing. And so you can kind of track all that back. Some CRMs you can pass in that like campaign data, you know, others you can't. You know, at the end of the day, what we're watching is sales, right? Where's the person coming in from? Are we getting them into our email system? And then, you know, are we getting them into our you know, into being a paying customer. So, you know, there are some of these things that you can do to kind of, you know, get a bit more data. But yeah, that's the best way to do it. Does that help?
That totally helps. Phil's got a question. What do you feel about discount pricing? He feels like that when you do discounts, you cheapen the price, or you cheapen your product or service. So is that a like that's an argument we make, like if people are undercharging, but in these times, how do you look at discounting any differently, or what is your thoughts on discounting in general?
Oh, it's a big question. I, by and large, don't like discounting, because I do agree that it can come across as cheapening it. Though my question to people is, I mean, it's like, why do you feel like you need to discount, right? Is it to help more people? Or, you know, is it just like you're trying to get more people in the door? Or, and then, so that's one. And then number two is, how are you pricing in the first place? Right. So are you pricing on a like cost plus sort of basis, right? Or are you pricing on a value that they're getting sort of basis? Um, so I really don't have trouble with, you know, obviously helping people. I've been on here for an hour and a half, you know, helping you for free. But, you know, I think, you know, so helping people, you know, can be great. But, you know, you need to make sure that if you're going to discount, you know, A, providing the same amount of value, B, making it time bound, right? You're not just lowering it to lower it, right? You're making it time bound. You know, we want to help more people, or, you know, you're making it free for 3 days or something like that. Don't just do it forever, because that is cheapening it, right? That's just saying like, hey, we were charging more in the past because we could charge more, and now we can't charge as much, and so we're making it cheaper. It's kind of shitty. So I would definitely, you know, think about that. And then finally, if you are going to discount, once again, you need to understand your metrics about like how profitable, you know, is this, like how long is it going to take you to pull back to, you know, to make this profitable again, you know, and what's that discount going to do to you?
That's awesome. I'm gonna bring Cody up to ask his question, but before
Mhm.
I do, I have to selfishly ask another question. I'm
Sure.
impressed at your Twitter reach and how much people engage with you on Twitter. If
Hmm.
you were to give me, as like a Twitter amateur but not a beginner, 3 pro tips, what would they be to increase engagement and marketing ROI on just time invested in Twitter?
Yep. Run polls, right? Ask
Yeah.
people, because I follow you on Twitter, right? But it's a lot of, and this is me saying this as your friend and fellow entrepreneur and completely in love. You're very self promotional, right?
Yes.
It's a lot of content it's a lot of links to your own stuff. And some of it is like genuinely helpful, but then
Yeah.
like, you know, you put out tweets that's like, and this maybe you testing like your perfect intro, but it's like lift your LMS, help people,
Yeah.
blah, 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 right? It's
Yeah.
very lift your LMS focused.
Right.
um, Social media, right? So be social, engaging with other people, asking them questions, like that sort of thing. You know, I love using polls, and, you know, and then sharing those results as well. You know, I've been running the same poll now for 3 or 4 weeks, basically asking agencies like, you know, have you seen a drop in leads in the last 3 to 4 weeks? How big of a drop, like that sort of thing. And then this is providing value. I'm actually updating a blog post every day doing that. Or every week, sorry, with the new data, and really look for like it to level off, and then see, you know, if it's when it's starting to get better, right? Hope marketing. Um, so that can be a great way. Uh, Another one, Chris, is like, I mean, it just, yeah, showing that personality, right? Like I'll just say like ridiculous things. Like yesterday I was sitting out in my backyard. I'm an oversharer in a lot of times. And
Yeah.
you may have seen this. I was sitting out in my backyard, which I won't do today, but I was like, I think I was actually working on this deck that I just presented. And I started hearing birds. And so I look up and I count them, and there were 13 black crows sitting in my neighbor's tree. And so I just tweeted something about that. And like people have responded with ridiculous things. I'm just having some fun, you know?
Right.
But like people can see that, can see my personality there, right? So not being afraid to, you know, to show that personality, you know, and talking about ridiculous things. And I've actually gotten feedback from people that like, you know, in the past, I have been too self-promotional, and they've actually, like, people that I care about that are friends of mine, that are peers of mine, they're like, I had to mute you. I'm like, ooh, that's
Yeah.
hard. Right. And like, I'm glad they told me, right. Like, I really appreciate, you know, that sort of information. And then, you know, and then finally, like promoting other people. And not just when it's like, you know, when it's something that's referencing you and, you know, and your company. If it is something that's referencing you and your company, like, you know, do promote it. You know, and I don't really like the, like, you know, this site asked 25 experts plus me. It's like, yeah, don't downplay yourself that way. But you know, there's a lot. So, but do promote that stuff if you, and you should only contribute to stuff that you think is genuinely valuable, right? And that you would want to promote. That's at least my rule. And I get asked to contribute to a lot of like SEO roundups and that sort of stuff. And if it's like, what are the 3 link building tactics that are working in 2020? I'm like, sorry, like not my
Yeah.
jam, you know, and this has been done many times, and I'm not going to share that with my audience. Um, but you know, promoting other people, right? You read something that's really interesting, it doesn't mention Lifter LMS, it doesn't, you know, mention you know, membership sites, but it's something that's going to be valuable to other entrepreneurs and other people building online businesses. Share that, tag the person, tweet at them, and thank them, right? It's amazing like how people, when you help them out like that, they help you out like that as well. Like I have so many really cool people, really awesome, smart, nice, friendly people following me on Twitter because I've just promoted them, right? And
Yeah.
just like, hey, this piece by this person is amazing. And then they follow me and I'm like, holy crap, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think that's another way to do it, right? Like show that. I think really just comes down to showing that humanity and personality.
Solid advice. I really appreciate that.
Sure.
Cody, you're up. Can you unmute yourself and introduce yourself?
Yeah, can you hear me?
We got you.
Cool. So,
Hey, Cody.
one of Chris's regulars, probably why he like saved me for a bit. He's like, oh, man, I hope he's just like lose his internet connection.
No. I'm glad you're here.
Yeah. So, anyways, my big concern, and I think long term, and first of all, I study a lot with the way that people interact. My business is actually called How We Interact Matters.
Nice.
And so I look at how people functionally or non-functionally communicate. And when we look at social media, is impacting the way that we communicate and shifting us towards non-functional communication more and more every day. Not only in shorter attention spans, which I've already violated by just the intro of my question, but you know,
Yeah, you lost me.
yeah, absolutely, man. But like now,
I'm kidding.
Hey Cody, can you just say for John real quick what your specialty is? Like how you help people, just so he has the context. Like what, because it's interesting. Go ahead.
Yeah,
What's
conflict
the
resolution.
site again?
So skill.training, and then there's also defense.education. And so, yeah, like it's a lot of conflict resolution. It's helping people communicate better, not break out torches and pitchforks when we're trying to solve the same problem differently based on their core values and their own healthy boundaries, right?
Cool.
So when we look at people now, I just learned this a couple weeks ago, a thing called streaking. When I was a kid, streaking was when you ran through a neighborhood naked.
Right.
Now it's when you send a picture to somebody that's whatever random thing, and you swipe an S on there and you just send it to your friend and you get like points or something. I still don't understand it. I'm like, but this is the younger generation. And now they have something called campfire communities. And it's the way that the younger generation, because they communicate differently, are immunizing themselves to, you know, platforms such as Facebook, Instagram, you know, LinkedIn, etc. Things that was our generation, right? They're now moving to this to get away from advertisements and to filter out. You see instances of this in Instagram, or you see instances of this in community moderation in Reddit that reduces the amount of promotion. My question becomes, how are we going to penetrate and reach those closed off gated communities that are campfire social communities that are not macro massive? Like, you know, if you think MMOs, people are starting to shift back to single player or MOBA games, right? These campfire communities are groups of 4 to 5 people interacting, and small 4 to 5 campfires plopping. There's almost no way to reach a mass. So how do you penetrate? How do you reach that audience, that new audience that's now becoming the new purchaser, I think, for our next 20, 30 years?
Interesting. Yeah.
So you're talking about, Cody, just ad blockers, people who they're opting out to any marketing promotion.
They're moving away from the platforms that we can reach at mass, that have mass users. Number one. Number two, they only invite the people they want into those social circles. So it's super elite, almost like Facebook was in the beginning, except it's me and my 5 friends, my clique in high school, right? Nothing ever moves away from high school.
There we are.
You're good.
Now you see my concern, right?
Yeah. So John, how do we reach the unreachable that, you know, are not in mainstream media outlets that we can't?
Yeah. Man, it's a really, really good question. And honestly, not one that I've thought about before. But I have seen this kind of move into, move back towards communities and away from like the Facebooks and the Twitters and that sort of thing. So like, you know, as I said during the presentation, I have a big following on Twitter, and, you know, have you know, lots of people coming to my site and my sites and all that, you know, email lists and whatever. But, you know, I personally found myself going more towards exclusive communities and that sort of thing, you know, that I pay to be part of. And so part of that, so that's not as niche as like what you're talking about, right? Where it's like 4 or 5 people. That more seems like a private, like Discord group, like that kind of thing. But honestly, I have trouble believing that they are, well, yeah, I just don't believe that they are immune to, or that they don't see, you know, anything on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok or any of those places, right? Like, they're probably still there. They're just not responding to advertising and that sort of thing, right? So it comes back even more to like, who are the experts, right? These sound like people that are much more, yeah, they've just been like overwhelmed by it in the past, probably. And this seems to me like they were here and now they're here, and they're probably going to come back to here, right? And I see this a lot with a lot of like, in a lot of different areas, right? Whether it's like online, people are like, I'm done with Facebook, and then they're back and they're on every day, right? So, and I've seen this in like in religion as well, where someone is like super conservative, and then they swing and they just throw everything out, and then they come back to the middle and settle in somewhere. So. I wonder if this is just part of that shift, and they're going to come back to the middle somewhere. But really what they're saying is, I'm tired of just like everyone like being an expert, everyone just like talking about all these crazy things. Right. And so like, I'm just completely done with that. I'm going to go live in the woods for a while, right, with the bears. Right. And then they're going to come back and they're going to settle in a rural area. So I actually wonder like how much like brain space should we put into these? And also asking, is it your own audience that is doing this? Right. Because if it's not your audience that's doing this, then honestly, I just don't really think about it.
Well, I think it is my audience is why, you know, and because like my client base is getting younger. The other thing I think about too is if we compared it to games, online games, right? Like massive MMO RPG, like the golden age was back in like 1990s, 2000s.
Yep. Now
we have MOBAs, you know the difference, right? Which are basically little hosted rooms of like 10, 20 players instead of 2 million players.
Like Fortnite.
Yeah. Kind of and MMOs are still around, but they really struggle for anything new. So Facebook will still be around. LinkedIn will still be around, but it's not the younger generation that we're capturing. Right. So, but I think the new middle ground is more like a MOBA, where you're going to have rooms of people. Like you said, Discord, I think is an example, but I think would be even Discord gets pretty large. Like you can get 10,000 plus people in there. And I think we're going to start seeing is probably in the range of hundreds,
Mhm.
whatever that looks like.
Mhm.
And I think because there is a push towards that direction, we're going to see more technology facilitate that behavior. And because of that, the reason that people rubber band back to Facebook right now is there's really no alternative that really fills the need.
Sure.
But as more people have that need, someone will come along and flip that switch, will fill that need, and then you're going to see a larger exodus, I think, than what's going on.
Well, I think it's interesting, like, because I mean, there are a lot of private Facebook groups and that kind of thing. And so, and I've even seen it, and Chris and I are part of a group together, that like the host, I don't even know what I'd call him, Chris, the the guru. I don't know. He'd kill me for saying that, but he's an expert in certain areas, but then there are other things that is his community needs. And so he'll bring in other experts. Right. So like this one that we were at a couple months ago in Atlanta, he brought in, a couple of guys that I've known online for a while, but was like, man, it's amazing to get to learn from these guys. But one guy came in and he was teaching us about like funding options for software companies. Okay. And he runs he runs a something like that. He runs this. He lends money to companies to help them grow. It's growth capital, right? But he does it in interesting ways. But he taught us about all the different ways, what's good, what's bad, what's predatory, what's not, that kind of thing. He's probably gotten deal flow from that, right, Chris? And the owner of this, the instructor, he's an angel, he's an LP in this guy's fund, right? So like it works out for him, right? We're paying him monthly to be part of this group to get this instruction. Also, we get to go to these like conferences for free, and then he's probably monetizing it on the backside as well, as he should, because it's adding value, right? And there was 120 of us, 140 of us in the room, something like that, Chris.
Yeah.
So
everybody wins.
Everybody wins. Yeah. I didn't feel like he was pitching me, right?
I was like, unwanted guest.
No, it wasn't an unwanted guest at all. So I think we are seeing a move to that. It's just like, you can't come in and pitch, right? Like he doesn't have advertisers, at this conference. It's people on stage that he has invited in, right? So like people can't just like pitch to, get up on stage. He has people come in and just teach things. It's just like value all the time. And then, there are other ways to monetize it in this way. I don't know about like the, individual Discord groups and that sort of stuff. But once again, like people aren't immune to, seeing what's going on. But if they come to trust you, then honestly, I think that can be a very valuable, tool, because it's like, hey, I've been following this guy. I trust him a lot. Right. Like, hey, go and check him out. Like that like endorsement is going to mean more, it's going to be super, super heavy there.
Yeah, referrals and relationships are, that's just a big part of marketing and selling too, and doing it in a mutually beneficial way over a long time horizon.
So really,
any final stuff, Cody? I got some more questions I want to get to, but any fine tuning question you want to ask or anything?
So really what we're looking at is getting past a gatekeeper. There's going to be a community gatekeeper.
Still leaders.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Cool. Well, thanks for the great question, Cody. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Cody.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to bring up, it's just Paul's question. Could an affiliate program help these communities get one to invite many? So that's kind of a tag on to Cody's question, but in general, what's your advice around affiliate marketing, John?
I like affiliate marketing. But I like it a lot more when it's like, as as kind of a like pitch as a partnership, or like
like a joint venture.
Joint venture. Like so I actually own an online outdoors gear affiliate website. But I'm a big outdoors guy, right? I think I own like 15 different like puffy jackets, and like I'm skiing and mountain biking and hiking and camping, and I've been doing this for a long time.
That's one of the things I love about you. I'm an outdoor guy. I have a history of outdoor stuff, and like I like sales and marketing. I don't come across a lot, and there's some others we know, like Lindsay from Pathfinder SEO.
Mm-hmm.
Outdoor people into marketing. It's kind of fun. It's kind of a weird mix. So I love that you have an affiliate site, but it's gear you use.
Right.
right?
It's gear I use. So I only review stuff. And like, there are a lot of people out there that they'll just like, and some do it well and some don't, but like, some people are just out there and they're posting, and I may have done a couple of these in the past, but like, I don't do it anymore because I just don't feel good about it. But it's like the, best down sleeping bags. Right. And they've done like, and basically they list the one at the top that is going to pay them the biggest affiliate commission. Right. Like, personally, what I do is I go, and so I have gotten gear for free from some companies. And so I'll go and I'll test it and I'll write an honest review of it. I'll say what's good. I'll say what I don't like. I'll say what's good for and what's not good for. And then, and then if I need that jacket, I'll keep it. Otherwise I'll go and I'll sell it and I'll buy more gear and I'll test that and I'll write a review of it. And then once I have enough, then basically I'll write that like bigger piece on like the best down puffy jackets. So best heavy puffy jacket or whatever it is. So I like to, so I do that. But it's, completely above the board. Like I'm actually out there testing, and actually the best ones that are doing like the most revenue, like they have whole teams of gear testers, that are out there. So, so I like affiliate marketing. If we're talking about like these like smaller communities and that kind of thing, I don't know. I don't think people are going to do that. It's like, it's kind of a betrayal of trust, to refer, to drop an affiliate link that you're going to make money off of to your friends. Like, I don't know. Feels a little weird, to me. But yeah. So, but if it is something of value, it's generally going to help them do, like if you're the instructor and if you're an instructor and you're teaching them, you're going to monetize it, on the back end, just like, this guy I was talking about with his like in-person stuff. I have no problem with that because it's genuinely useful. He's given me a ton of value, he gave me a ton of value for free and then I started paying him and he gave me even more. Right. So, if it's like small, like individual communities where there's no like instructor and people aren't paying to be part of it, it feels a little weird to me to use affiliate stuff. But overall, like when affiliate is good, it's really good and it can be done really well. It can also be done in really bad ways. So, like anything, there's pluses and minuses.
Great points. And one more question we've got before we wrap up, and we're going to draw our giveaway winner after this is John asked earlier about LinkedIn. So if you're a course creator, membership site owner, like what can you do on LinkedIn? And I think it also might be helpful for you to touch on like, how is LinkedIn different from like, let's say Facebook? And should we use LinkedIn or not? Like what's the magic of LinkedIn marketing? I know me personally, I'm so annoyed when I open up LinkedIn, I have all these inbound like prospecting requests. My messages are full and I'm generally not happy. But like, so I'm not being LinkedIn marketed to well. How do you do LinkedIn marketing effectively?
Yeah, it's a good question. And so, few things there. So number one is just asking like, is that where your audience is? I mean, they probably are, but LinkedIn is a great B2B audience. It's not a great like B2C audience. It'd be kind of weird to see like, a fitness coach marketing me on LinkedIn. It's really good for B2B stuff. So when it comes to LinkedIn, I mean, LinkedIn is still like a gold mine, especially for B2B. Like you can get great organic reach. They'll probably be closing that down, but like it's been there for quite a while now. So I'm not seeing it, close down. Really like, and once again, marketers will complain about it, right? They call it broetry, where it's like, one line is kind of getting down, and kind of telling a story, one line getting down to the bottom, and people, at least a couple of years ago, were getting really like frustrated by it. But it can be a great way to grow an audience, but it's just like any other social network, continuously posting, useful value added content, right? That people engage with. They have their own like blogging platform. I forget what it's called. I don't think I may have published one or two on there, but didn't really see anything from it. To me, that's not a great way to build the audience, but these are connections, right? They call them connections. They're not friends, they're connections, they're business connections. So adding value in that, in that way. And you can spread it as well, right? I mean, I routinely get, hundreds, if not like low thousands of views on, on LinkedIn posts. There's some tips about files and videos and, and that sort of stuff, that you can use to, kind of game the algorithm a little bit. And I'm definitely not against that as long as it's adding value to your, to your audience. Hashtags work great. getting people to leave comments and engaging in those comments. But yeah, it can be a great way to add, to drive, especially like B2B subscribers and B2B, leads in. I actually, funny story. So 2017, fall 2017, I posted it was the 2-year anniversary of getting laid off. And I posted, because I don't even know if I've told you this story, to my 2-year anniversary of getting laid off. And I posted it. So I basically wrote like wrote a post. And then at the end, it was basically like, when a door closes, a window opens. I wrote this, and then my brother and I, who was in town visiting, walked up to a local Mexican place to get some food. And I pull up LinkedIn, and this thing had like 150 likes in like 30 minutes. This thing went viral. It has almost 100,000 likes, almost 11 million views on it. And I looked back at my analytics like 2 weeks later, and my organic traffic had gone like this. And I was like, what in the world? It was all driven off of people seeing that post on LinkedIn. It was all branded traffic to my homepage. So
was it like a social media status update, or it was a link to a blog post you wrote about the anniversary?
It was a social media status update. There were no links or anything like that.
Wow.
Yeah,
See, that's social media. That's why I appreciate you giving me feedback. Like, hey, you're a little promotional on your Twitter. Like, sometimes, like, if you really discover how social media really works and like how to use it well, the way people want to use it and see it, it's like, it's a game changer. It's a game changer. And it's not always obvious, like, how to drive it. Right.
Totally. And the goal isn't to go viral, right?
Yeah.
But like, these things will happen. I haven't had anything, get close to that, to that reach since then. And I've written who knows how many like updates since then. I'm also not like as consistent with it as maybe I should be if I wanted to double down on this as a channel. But I am like auto posting content and that sort of stuff there, as well. And it gets a few likes and that sort of stuff. But I've had some hit 20,000, 40,000, 50,000, 100,000 views. You kind of just never know what's going to take off. Same with blogging, right? You never know. You kind of don't know. You can do things to like give yourself a better chance of success, but like, you kind of don't know what blog posts are going to resonate and which ones are not. So, you keep at it and you have the hits. So, but you're also like, you're setting a base and you'll have a spike, and it sets kind of a new normal, and then you have a spike, it sets another new normal. And that's just kind of how it works. So yeah, there is a woman, Brittany Crystal, Krystle, I think it is, that she teaches people a lot, like how to use, LinkedIn for promotion and marketing. So I would look into her stuff. I followed her for quite a while. And she's super solid. Yeah. Keegan just said she's awesome. Yeah. She's super cool.
That's awesome. And just to your question real quick, Phil, if you're moving off of Thinkific or Teachable, looking for more power, control, and flexibility with a tool like Lifter, we do have some documentation on how to do a migration. And, if you want to see an example site, you mentioned earlier about building like a Udemy clone, or building a multi-instructor site. One of our users, Sean Hesketh from WordPress 101, WP101.com, he's public about his numbers, so I can share him here. 2 years ago, he had over 30,000 people on that platform. It's a good option if you're going to do. Lifter can do the multi-instructor thing. If you want to do like a really Udemy style thing, there's some other stuff you can do with some WooCommerce plugins integrated with Lifter. Just send an email to team@lifterlms.com and we can talk about that. Kathy, if you want to, we got our winner drawn. It is Noah Moskovich. You're the winner of the $99 Lifter LMS add-on. So congratulations to that. Just shoot us an email to team@lifterlms.com. John, I want to really thank you for coming on and doing this webinar. If you're here, go check out getcredo.com, see what John's up to over there. Is there any other final words for the people, how to connect with you, where other things they should check out?
Yeah. So, getcredo.com is my site. Twitter is where I'm most active. I'm also on Instagram. I'm Doherty JF, Doherty JF everywhere, except for LinkedIn, because I couldn't get it there for some reason. But I'm pretty easy to find on there. And then I will post the deck to download at getcredo.com/offer/market your course, all one word. And I'll get that up and I'll ping it to Chris. And Chris, if you could let people know, that'd be awesome. It'll be up I'll do it. I think I have a call right after this, and then I'll get it up live. So hopefully in the next hour, I'll have it live with a, you know, like basically put in your information and then download the deck.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much. Like I said, I'm going to rewatch this when I'm not like helping MC a webinar, and I'm going to be taking notes of some new ideas to work on. Thank you for just sharing it all with us today. We really appreciate it. You've added a ton of value to the course building community over here. Thank you so much, John, and all the best. Kathy, thank you for helping put this on. Thank you everyone for coming. I hope everybody has a great rest of your